So the first thing that we need to do in order to get started with Cisco Secure Access is we need to connect our organization or organizations to the Cisco Secure Access infrastructure. So you'll see the first step here in the getting started is to add a network tunnel group or add network tunnel groups. So that's what we're going to do in this quick video demonstration. And to do that, we're going to use the Cisco Firepower devices. So the list of steps are here. Essentially, what we need to do is we need to configure BGP on the FMC. So this is the Firewall Management Center or Firepower Management Center. It's now called Firewall Management Center, but still FMC as the abbreviation. Our FMC is managing our Firewall Threat Defence or Firepower Threat Defence device. Again, that name's changed, but the abbreviation is still the same. So we're going to do all the configuration on the management center, which is then going to push the configuration to our FTD that we want to connect to Cisco Secure Access in this case. Now, you will see in the demonstration there is a number of different devices that we can connect to secure access. In this demonstration, we're specifically using the Firepower devices. So you can see here that the first steps are really to configure BGP on the FMC, and then what we'll do is we'll add the secure access IP addresses as neighbors, and then we'll configure our site-to-site VPN, and we're going to use virtual tunnel interfaces or VTIs to connect into secure access. There's a number of steps that we'll also do on the secure access part, and we'll walk through that now. So firstly, we'll start with secure access. We'll get that all configured and up and running, and then we'll go across to the FMC, configure that, deploy policy, and hopefully we'll see those network tunnel groups come up. Now, this is a lab environment, but there is certain aspects which I won't be showing. At least I will be obscuring from the video just for privacy. So you will not see some things such as like IP addresses, etc. But they're all sort of relative to your specific environment anyway. So if we start with secure access, if you now have access to your secure access tenant and you're on the get started page, let's start off with add the network tunnel groups here. So once we click on that, we'll see that if it's a new deployment, we'll see basically 0 tunnels, nothing's being configured. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to click add. So let's click add. And then we've got 4 steps that we're going to run through now. So we'll start off with step 1. So we need to give our tunnel group a name. So I'm just going to call mine Kelvin's, and I can't use special characters. And I'm going to call it Kelvin's NTG or network tunnel group. The region I'm going to specify is going to be the region closest to me. So in my case, I'm going to specify the United Kingdom. And device type, as I mentioned earlier, we have a number of devices that we can use. If your device is not listed, we can select other. But in our case, we can see that the FTD is available as an option. So we're just going to select the FTD for our instance. Once we're done with that, we'll just press next. And then once we have done that, we then move on to step 2. And this is where we're going to basically create all the tunnel or configure all the tunnel settings. So we've got different formats that we can use. So we can specify IP addresses or email addresses and so on and so forth there. So I'm just going to stick to specifying the tunnel name as an email address in this case. So I'm going to enter mine now. And then you also need to enter a passphrase as well. So this passphrase needs to be between 16 and 64 characters long, and it must include one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and cannot include any special characters. So I'm gonna write out mine now. Okay. Okay, so once you've done that, you can verify with the show. I'm not going to do that on this video. And once you're happy with the tunnel configuration, press next. And then we'll move on to routing options. Now, routing options will give you the ability now to basically enable NAT. And it basically says that you select if the IP address space of the subnet behind the tunnel group overlaps with other IP address spaces in your network. So this is basically where you're connecting, say, multiple organizations. Let's say you connect two different parts of the organization, and then let's say a branch and a campus, and behind those protected networks you have the same IP addresses. This is where you would look to enable NAT for outbound connectivity. We're not going to do that in this video demonstration, at least not yet, so we can just continue with the configuration. You've got routing options, so static routing. So this says use this option to manually add IP address ranges for this tunnel group. So this is where you're going to add all public and private IP address ranges used internally by your organization. Again, I'm going to leave that, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select dynamic routing here, because I'm going to be using BGP in my environment. So we want to specify the BGP peer here for this option. So mine is going to be 65217, and then you can go down to advanced settings, which is basically just the ability to block default route advertisements, or block the advertisement of the default route essentially. Again, I will probably select that just for this lab. So once we're done with that, let's just press save. And then what it's going to do now is going to populate all the configuration for us. And again, some of this has been obscured just for privacy reasons, but you need to just either download the CSV for this, which you can do by using this button here, or you can always go back on the settings anyway, and find out the details. But I'll just leave that there now, because what I'm going to do is I'll flip over to the FMC, and then what we'll do is we'll configure now the settings on the FMC, and then hopefully once we've pushed the configuration, we'll see everything in terms of tunnels come up.